If my bed looks messy over there, just ignore it. Look at me. Look at me. This was one of the first Bible studies / sermons I ever did when I was first starting at FHL. I like to come back to it like once a year or every 6 months when I feel like we need to hear it again. So I'm deciding to immortalize it here on YouTube. So there are a couple things that I realized being a killer in my generation. And as we know, the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And this is one of the biggest ways I have seen that actively happen in my life and in other people's life around me, especially the youth. So if you're a parent watching this, I think this will really help you with your kiddos, because being a kiddo or former kiddo, I'm 19 now, but a recently former kiddo, I have seen this over and over and over again in the schools and in communities where teenagers and children hang out. And it's an issue that I promise you have done, you have actively partaken in, and maybe even enjoyed partaking in. One of the craziest parts is that the concept has been adopted by the warlocks and witches of this world. And if you're a Christian and you don't believe in those, you should. They're real. They're a real thing that happens. So get out your Bibles, pause the video, scroll on your phone or whatever to Proverbs 18, 20 through 21, and I want you to highlight it, underline it, circle it, tape it on your refrigerator. I have a prayer board. I made a video about that. I have a prayer board, but put it on your prayer boards and your prayer journals. Memorize it. Okay. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Think of this verse like you are cooking, okay? You're cooking up yourself a yummy, delicious pizza, okay? Pizza. Whatever pizza you're cooking is what's for dinner tonight, okay? It's what you're making. The ingredients you put on this pizza, you have two options. Ingredients that you are happy with and ingredients that you are disgusted with. But no matter what you put on this pizza, it's what's for dinner, and it is what you're eating. Now, out of these two options, I'm pretty positive, unless you're a freaking smart aleck, you are picking the yummy option. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Now, in Proverbs 18:21, it's talking about being satisfied, being full. And it doesn't mean satisfied in the happy sense. It means satisfied as in like you just ate dinner and you're not hungry anymore. The ingredients in your life, the ingredients that Proverbs 18:20 through 21 is talking about, is your words, okay? It's what you are actively speaking and saying and releasing into the world. God created the universe with his words. Let there be light, right? Jesus healed with his words. Get up and walk, right? He used his words. We minister with our words, okay? We preach with our words. I always tell people to read the Bible out loud. When I was little, my dad told me to pray out loud because God wants to hear me speak, because the power of literal life and literal death is our words. A lot of us spend our entire life putting disgusting ingredients on our pizza, right? And eating it because that's what we cooked. And we wonder why we aren't happy with the meal. A lot of us spend entire just days, like it is people's literally their entire personality not having anything good to say about work, family, friends, money, any situation that you could physically be in. School. And then we're wondering why we aren't happy with our life. Now, as much as this is a encouraging, speak better and you'll feel better word, it's also supernatural. It's also for the heavy things. As much as this applies to the Chick-fil-A drive-through when you're really mad about your order and you can look at it better and be happier after, it applies to the really heavy things, little kids with cancer, right? Things that are ugly and that we don't have a cure for. Because life and death is in the tongue. That is literal. Not just an outlook, but also how you influence things. Because we know that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Well, if we're not dealing with flesh and blood, with the world, with fleshy things, then what are we dealing with? Spiritual things, right? This is where paganism gets the law of attraction. The law of attraction. Manifesting. Tarot. I've forgotten the word for it. Star signs. I know there's another, astrology. I forgot the word for it. Because they're speaking these things into existence. You go and you know you're a Leo and you read the Leo category and oh my gosh, that's exactly like me, because you're spending your time meditating. Meditation is another one, but meditating on these things, and they're shocked when it happens. But it is a biblical idea stolen from the Bible and rebranded to look like spells, to look like something witchy. Going back to your words, just directly influencing your life. Jesus kills the fig tree, not for any particular reason other than he was upset, right? But it dies because he told it to. One of the biggest issues, I think, in the church is that we don't understand our authority. We don't understand that we're meant to do bigger and greater things than Jesus. We don't understand that we have the exact same power living in us. And we don't understand that everything that we do and say and partake in has spiritual repercussions. There are a lot of things that we see in the flesh, and we don't think we have a say in it. We don't think we can do anything. I call it an FHL, your worldly diagnosis, right? The world has diagnosed you with something, and you just don't get to touch it. It becomes your identity, which is like a whole big thing, because identity politics, the whole identity thing, who you call yourself, is so important, and it's so big in the culture and in the world now. And because we're constantly reaffirming our identity and things other than Christ, that becomes what we are, right? If you spend your entire life telling yourself you are sad, not only your attitude is sad, but you believe it, you have diagnosed yourself with that. It's not just a fleshly or worldly issue. It's a spiritual issue, always. I have a few examples for you that I learned just being in high school, being in college, and I realized how prevalent it is, because it's life and it's death. Of course it's prevalent. You'll see it everywhere. This is where the whole if you're a parent thing kind of comes in. If you spend any time on TikTok, any time on the internet, Instagram, Facebook, maybe even, there's this whole thing of standing culture where, you know, you have your fangirls and you have your fanboys, but we compliment people and we call them queens and kings. And people are like, oh my gosh, you could hit me with a truck and I wouldn't even care. Like, that is literal comments. And on social media. Or I would literally do anything for this man, for this woman. And it's literally becoming gods. Like, they're becoming gods. You are putting so much into the world with your words that they're literally on the same level to people as God. Same thing with characters. Things that people who aren't even real, right? And listen, I am an anime fan. I love anime. Anime is great. I love books. Do you need to see my book collection? I love books. For a really long time, I had a BTS poster on my wall because I love BTS, right? And I was in this stan culture where our entire lives are a parasocial relationship with people who aren't real, who are real, who don't even speak my language, and you just spend your entire days, you spend your entire day worshiping them. You spend your entire day worshiping your mental illnesses. You spend your entire day complaining about your financial situation and other things like that, and you're wondering why it's not getting better. Not just because you don't have a positive outlook, but because you are literally cursing yourself with your words. So many people, especially younger people, have told me it's not that deep. But according to the Bible, it is exactly that deep. It is life and it is death. It is the spiritual warfare that we love to talk about all the time. Everything that happens physically has a spiritual connotation. Everything. It's what the verse says. That's just literally what the verse means. Verses. And so when we're trying to deal with everything in a worldly sense and in a fleshy sense, and we're trying to heal ourselves or to see a better outcome or to find hobbies that we enjoy, just literally anything, and we're trying to deal with it in the world, but it's not a fleshly issue. It's not a world issue. It's a spiritual issue. A lot of people will ask me, Leah, how do I get my friends saved? Leah, how do I pray for my or how do I get my family saved? And so many people will respond to this question, all we can really do is pray for them. That's all that we can do. And that sentence is so disgusting to me. All we can do is pray. But prayer, speaking, is the most powerful thing you can partake in. It is the most influential thing that you can do for their life, is to pray for them and your day-to-day prayer. Your words, dude. Your words. Everything that happens physically has a spiritual consequence. Everything. And it is so good to take a step back and to look at your life and to see what's happening around you and to ask yourself, these things physically, what happened spiritually to influence that? Last thing. The same Christians who will tell you that you're going to hell for watching Harry Potter are the same Christians who might watch Breaking Bad or The Bachelor. Okay? Everyone deals with things differently. Everyone has different issues with different things, okay? One glass of wine to one person might not be a stumbling block, but one glass of wine to an alcoholic is a stumbling block, if you know what I'm saying. So work out your salvation, your own salvation, with fear and trembling. A lot of people will say, work out your own salvation, but leave out the fear and trembling part. That is intimate time with the Lord. Intimacy with the Lord. You cannot just watch preachers all day and expect to get closer to him. Okay? If you're trying to make a friend, you don't go to a mutual and be like, tell me about this Jesus guy. I think he's really cool. You have to go to him directly and spend time with him. Watch your mouth.